YouTube, we got some exciting news, some very anticipating news for the Auburn Tigers and some of the other highly regarded schools in the Southeast, including Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, Tennessee. Everybody wants this guy. And this guy is none other than Cartavius Bigsby. Now, the media calls him Tank, so I'm going to call him Tank. Once again, it's Vernon Speaks Sports. We're here on the podcast for Auburn Sports Talk, and we're talking about recruiting 2020 for the Auburn Tigers. Auburn has garnished a lot of momentum since the Big Cat weekend, since the big picnic from a couple of weekends ago. Auburn has a nice slate of recruits that includes wide receivers and definitely much needed offensive linemen for the Auburn Tigers. But the only thing right now that Auburn does not have is an elite running back. As a matter of fact, that's something that Auburn has not really done an excellent job of here for the past few years. Now, let's rewind this thing back a little bit. Back in 2017, Auburn picked up on actually, it was 2016. Auburn picked up on Boobie Whitlow, who was actually recruited as a wide receiver and as a 3-star out of the small school of Lafayette High School in Alabama. Also having Cam Martin, picking up on Sean Shivers. And when you look at that group, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that group. However, when you talk about just from a probability standpoint and wanting to get your program to the next level, those are guys that from a probability standpoint may not be the guy because of physicality, because of experience at the position that might not get you to that next level. Auburn also had the opportunity. They had Asa Martin, but Asa Martin out of Florida, but Asa Martin wound up hitting the transfer portal because of mismanagement with his red shirt. Now, Auburn was able to pick up on DJ Williams last year, who was a dark horse in the running back market last year, and a very, very huge gain for the Auburn Tigers, who otherwise would have been somewhat depleted I wouldn't say depleted, but would have been somewhat, just when you talk about futuristics, would have been in a little bit of trouble, the same kind of trouble that they were in 2017 when Kerryon Johnson was the feature back. Also, Cameron Petway, recruited as a fullback, converted over to running back, appeared to be the feature back until he got hurt. And then Kerryon Johnson just straight up got the hot hand in 2017 to where he pretty much carried that offense on his shoulder on his way to an SEC, to help Auburn to a SEC championship appearance on his way to the Detroit Lions. So historically, for the past few years under Tim Horton, although Tim Horton was very successful as a running back coach for Auburn, having a 1,000-yard rusher for the tenure that he was there, except for last year, and barring injury, Boobie Whitlow was only about 300 yards away from being a 1,000-yard rusher. But Auburn definitely needs an elite running back, and none other could possibly be more elite than what's available in this 2020 class in Cartavius Tank Bigsby. He's set to make his announcement this coming Friday at 6:30. All eyes will be watching to see where his commitment lies. Most of the media outlets, especially if you look at 24/7 Sports, all indicate that Bigsby will make his commitment to Auburn. Of course, that is subject to change. But my goodness, guys, I don't know if you all, I don't know if you guys have seen this young man on video footage. Had over 2,000 yards last year. Such great instincts, such great footwork. Probably will be ready to play upon arrival. This would be a huge, huge recruit for Carnell Williams, who was brought on as the running backs coach for the Auburn Tigers with the premise that because of his stature as a former NFL player and obviously as a former Auburn great and a relatively recent Auburn great, he's not that far removed from the Auburn Tigers as a running back, has that influence in this recruiting process. And I think Rodney Garner and Carnell Williams are being very aggressive in their recruitment of Tank Bigsby. You talking about if Auburn is able to pull this off, you're talking about an epic swing in the recruiting process, going from number 30 about a month and a half ago, maybe even 2 months now, to possibly a top 10 recruiting class with the addition of Tank Bigsby. Number one, in the 2020 recruiting class, Auburn does not have a single running back in this class. Tank Bigsby is definitely needed for that reason. Also, too, to solidify down the stretch some more quality, not only starting, but quality depth and quality recruiting efforts in the running back position. Because if we look at the past few years, like I said before, Auburn, it hasn't been bad, but it hasn't been the elite status that Auburn would like to have. Because like I said, you take away, say 2017, Kerryon Johnson just having that beast mode season, mid-season on. And then in 2018, definitely taking a step back with Cam Martin only having 400 yards, Boobie Whitlow with 700, Sean Shivers contributing with 320. This would be a huge addition to the Auburn Tigers in the 2020 class, combined with either Bo Nix or Joey Gatewood, could really make Gus Malzahn's run pass option offense absolutely deadly. And I'm thinking that's potentially what Bigsby is seeing, having the opportunity to have an immediate impact. And obviously one of the best running backs in the country, especially in the Southeast. This will be also the second year in a row that a very coveted player out of Georgia decides to commit to Auburn. Just last year, Owen Pappo, a 5-star recruit, a lot of folks in the country wanted him, especially the Georgia Bulldogs. He committed early to Auburn and never looked back. And that's what the Auburn fan base and what the Auburn faithful are hoping for in Tank Bigsby. This probably, in my opinion, will be the number one recruit in this particular class. I don't care how his ranking winds up, but Auburn is in not necessarily a desperate, but in a very urgent need for an elite running back. And after the commitment of Tank Bigsby, I would say that you need another one, because Cam Martin is a senior. Boobie Whitlow, barring let's just say, hypothetically speaking, a breakout season, could declare for the NFL. I mean, that's very, very far-fetched, guys. I'm not even making that bold prediction. But either way, you know how attrition happens. And you got to have a guy like this, especially if he's on the bubble. All of the experts are predicting 100% commitment to the Auburn Tigers. And I'm telling y'all, man, if he commits to Auburn this Friday, you're talking about the floodgate. I mean, it's going to erupt. The Auburn fan base is going to erupt with jubilation over this particular deal. I'm going to put the highlights of Tank Bigsby in the description. And I'm telling you, if you have not heard of Tank Bigsby or have not followed him, he is well worth the bill. I mean, he has that breakaway speed. He has that power. He has great footwork, all that you need in a Power 5 caliber running back. So I'm telling you guys, this is fall camp is well in hand. Of course, you got all of that going on. You got the quarterback battle going on. You got the linebackers duking it out. KJ Britt is solidifying himself as one of the middle linebacker coming into this season. Owen Pappo, of course, making some noise there. But I'm telling you, this is probably the most anticipatory news for the Auburn Tigers going into this weekend, is the potential commitment of Tank Bigsby to the Auburn Tigers. All indications say that that's where he's going. We'll see what he does on Friday, but for right now, we'll keep our fingers crossed. And as always, Kennard Vernon Stewart here for the podcast, talking a little bit about Auburn football, 2020 recruiting, Tank Bigsby announcement coming this Friday, and we will see what happens, and there will be an announcement once that does. Once again, it's Kennard Vernon Stewart here for the podcast Vernon Speaks Sports Auburn, where it's always great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle.